Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading for the week of May 3rd to the 7th, 2021. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. So coming up here, lots of data this week, but nothing that is critical. Okay, so actually just one quick thing. All right, so starting the week off here, holiday in Japan and China. On Monday here, we have holiday in the UK as well. So PMI numbers here for the Eurozone. These numbers, again, these numbers are very important because they're precursors to retail sales. So if the purchasing managers believe that they will be able to sell products, they will buy materials for them. So these numbers are good leading indicators from our fundamental perspective. So if they come in above expectations, that will be good for the euro. Same thing here. We have PMI numbers for Canada and US. So these numbers, again, important. We have Fed Chair Powell speaking here. So again, the speeches are important because of the commentary, not so much the actual changing of the monetary policy. So in this case, if we see more concerns in regards to the economy or the markets that would have a negative impact, or anything about tightening the monetary policy, which we are not hearing from Fed at this point, but any kind of concerns around inflation or the economy can make a difference, have an impact on the US dollar and the market. So we'll keep that in mind. Reserve Bank of Australia, same thing here. We have rate statement, not expecting an interest rate change from really any central bank at this point. But again, the commentary, the forward-looking commentary will be important here. So if they don't talk at all about tightening the monetary policy and they leave things the same, then we won't expect much of a change. But if they even hint at tightening anything, just like we heard Bank of Canada talk about it. So if they hint at even tightening stuff, that will have a negative impact on the markets, but a positive impact on Australian dollar. Anytime a monetary policy is being tightened, it's a positive thing for the currency. Anytime they talk about adding more money supply, that's a negative thing for the currency. So just bearing that in mind. And on Tuesday, so we have two here on Monday. So coming into Tuesday here, we do have Reserve Bank of New Zealand financial stability report, employment numbers here from New Zealand. So later in the day in the New York session. And we do have Reserve Bank of New Zealand as well, Governor Orr speaking. So same thing here, not expecting any change, but should they even hint at changing or tightening the monetary policy, that's when we will need to pay attention here. And on Wednesday, we have Wednesday, we have economic forecast here. So this is important because, again, same thing, we'll be looking at what the expectations are in terms of the economy. So across pretty much everywhere across the world, we are seeing different countries trying to manage the COVID wave. We were all expecting, I'm sure, that things would be back to normal. It's been over a year now that we've been going through this, and things are still not opening. And that is the concerning thing. Everybody was sort of betting on things opening up this year, but the situation doesn't quite look so promising at this point. So all of that could have a negative impact on the economy. So that's where we will see what the leaders have to say. If they're concerned, that will have a negative impact on the euro. ADP non-farm payroll change numbers here. So this is a precursor to non-farm payroll, which comes up on Friday. These generally will move the market. So that in mind. Now, they don't move the market as much as the non-farm payroll actual numbers do, but these are just a precursor to that, and that's why it is important. So if the unemployment numbers go up, that will be negative, but if we see more employment, that will be a positive thing. Bank of Canada, same thing here. We have more comments. Thursday here, Bank of England. So a lot of central banks this week. So expect volatility in the market. So Bank of England not expecting a change. Everything is expected to be the same. But if they start cutting back on the asset purchases that they're doing, that means the money they're putting into the economy, that will be good for British pound. Or if they start talking about tightening monetary policy, or say that they're going to pull the deadline forward. So many banks were talking about nothing changing till 2023. Bank of Canada said they're going to change things in 2022, potentially interest rate hikes. So if we hear anything like that, or they will say we'll reconsider things, that can have an impact here as well. So any kind of tightening will be positive for British pound there. And then US unemployment claims number, monetary policy statement here from Reserve Bank of Australia. And then on Friday, we have the big non-farm payroll numbers. This is always a market moving thing, so watch out. Now we do have, because of the, so not so much the EU, actually, the report there. So we are hearing both from ECB, and Bank of England was earlier. So again, a lot of commentary, essentially, to a lot of speeches this week. So watch out for that. Expect volatility. Same thing here for Canada. Canada is going back into, we have been going back into lockdowns here. So that will have a negative impact on the economy. So if the unemployment numbers start going back up again, that will be negative for Canadian dollar. All right, so let's go on to our charts here. Starting off with euro dollar. So it was, euro came into resistance here all the way into this big support resistance level. And on Friday is when we saw the biggest decline. So quite an inefficient move. If you take a look at the chart, hourly chart, so this drop here, this is an inefficient move. So we could see some of this get filled. So watch out for that. But overall, from the weekly perspective, it does look bearish. We are into a strong support resistance level that goes all the way here as well. So this is where price had struggled previously. And this is again where we are. What I'm looking at here would be a bit of a pullback because of that inefficient move, and then looking for a drop. So bias is bearish here. It is an important support resistance level. So let's take a look. In terms of our target, so the first target here would be a 1.1950, and should it continue lower, we are looking at 1.1850. But I would watch out for this one here. This is an important, at 1.1950, that's an important support resistance level. So bearish bias, looking for a bit of a pullback there, and then a drop. So 1.1950 and then 1.1850 are the two targets for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, this one, we have a nice bearish pin bar here. So bearish bias here. In terms of the pullback, we could take a look at 1.1875, or maybe even slightly higher into 1.3915, but bearish bias. Next target is, so this one's still in a range. If you take a look at it, has been stuck in a range for quite some time. So this is a similar move that we have previously. Price went into resistance, dropped, and then here we are, came all the way to the bottom of the range here, and then went back. So we have similar move here as well. So we this is a tweezer top or a pin bar. Now looking for a drop similarly towards the bottom of the range at 1.3665. So bearish bias here for pound dollar as well. Same thing here. This one is also trading in a range. A lot of these things still looking range bound. So in this case, I'm just going to get this out of the way here. So in this case, we can see price is is getting rejected or has been rejected from the top of the range. This is the range it's been trading in. So we have the same tweezer top pattern here, looking for a bit of pullback and a drop back towards the support again. So bearish bias here for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, a big pin bar again, as we can see, price went right into this resistance and now we have a pin bar. So looking for a further drop here, 0.7080 is the first target. And then we are looking for a further drop towards the bottom of the range here, 0.6950. So bearish bias here for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here, this one has been dropping with the central bank or Bank of Canada talking about looking at interest rates or potentially increasing interest rates in 2022. Just the forward guidance there made Canadian dollar go up. As a result, we have seen dollar CAD drop. Now, with this one here, we are right into this support resistance level, and this is where things could get a little dicey for dollar CAD. So with this one, we are dealing with two strong currencies now. Canadian dollar is strong, US dollar is strong. So I will look for a bit of a pullback and see how things play out at 1.2370. US dollar gets impacted by way more things than Canadian dollar. So Canadian dollar essentially state of the economy, then interest rate, and then we also have oil. Those are the three main things that Canadian dollar will get impacted by, whereas US dollar gets tossed around because of everything that's going on, not just in the US but around the world as well. So more things that will that can impact this pair from the US dollar side versus the Canadian dollar side. So this is why I will look for a pullback here. But anything that comes to weaken the US dollar, then we are back again. We could see more of this downside. So that's what I would watch out for. This is the support resistance level, and price has played really well at this point. So look for a pullback into 1.2370. If it doesn't go through, we are looking for a continuation here. So right now, bias is still to the downside, just with caution here. Euro pound here, this one hasn't done much. It's still stuck in this range here. Not looking super bullish or bearish at this point. We could see if it goes through the resistance, then we'll look for this further move to the upside. It could go all the way up there, but right now it's still struggling in this range. So right now, neutral bias for Euro pound. Euro Swiss franc here, this one also looking nicely bearish here. This is the range it's kind of been trading in. So with this one, so it's bearish here. What I'm looking for is a bit of a pullback here and then a further drop. So if it breaks through the support here at 1.0950, then we have this room to the downside. So this candle will get filled here. This one here getting filled now, but the problem is it could also do one of these here and then go up. So we have to watch out. It's not a done deal, not 100% bearish yet. This is a nice strong candle to the downside. So I'm looking for a retest of 1.10. And then once it holds, we will look for, again, a retest of 1.0950. And then once it breaks, then we are looking for price to go lower. But until then, there is likely to be struggle at 1.0950. So just bear that in mind. Pound Swiss franc here, this one has dropped as well. This one we were looking for a bearish move from the pin bar. I love pin bars. They're just nice, easy setups to trade. So nice drop here, looking bearish. Watch out for a bit of a pullback towards 1.2660. And then looking for a further move to the downside here, 1.2550, so bearish bias here, and only if it goes through that support level, then we will look for this next candle getting filled. But again, watch out, this is an important support level here. This is where things could turn around because it has reacted at these levels previously, so these tends to play out again. But for now, first target 1.2550, 1.2460 is the second target here. Dollar Swiss franc here, this one looking very neutral at the moment. And in this case, Swiss franc was strong as well as the US dollar. So it makes sense that this would be neutral. So not my favorite one to trade this week, just because there are two currencies that are equally strong at this point. So we just need to see US dollar, like I said, gets turned around more often than other currencies. So watch out for that. If the US dollar starts to weaken, then we're likely to see this one, or one of them starts to weaken, then we're likely to see this kind of pick a direction. Right now, neutral, I would look for a range bound move between 0.9180 and then 0.9080. Pound yen here, this one is looking neutral right now. It's trading in a range, still trading in this range here. And in terms of the candle close, not a strong candle. We have bullishness. However, there is a pin on top, which means things may just stay range bound here. So neutral bias for pound yen. I would look for a bit of a retest here of the support 149.35. So if it doesn't go through, we're looking for a move back up again. So neutral bias here for pound yen. Same thing here for euro yen as well. Even though there was a big drop here on Friday, that again, it's an inefficient move. So it did move all the way up there. We could see a drop here towards 130.70. But again, it is neutral. It still has bullishness, which means we could see a move higher here. And then if it fails, something like this. So neutral bias still has that bullishness. So watch out being too bearish. It does show rejection. So bearishness is likely to be there, but we just have to be careful with it. Neutral bias here for euro yen. Dollar yen here, US dollar was strong, and hence the big move to the upside here. Now, again, some of these moves can be short-lived, so bear that in mind, but this is looking bullish for the time being. So looking for a pullback, very, very strong close into the so this is what I would be looking for, a bit of a retest towards 108.80 and then a further move to the upside here. So bullish bias with caution though. Next target is 109.80 and then all the way up into 111. Aussie yen, this is still range bound. We have this really, really tight range here. For last 4-5 weeks here, price has been stuck in this narrow range. So when we see price coiling so tightly, the moves tend to be large out of that. But right now, no real direction here. So neutral bias, I will look for a retest here. If it fails, we are back into the range here. So expecting a neutral move here. We may see a price drop all the way into 82.30, but still that would still be neutral because that's the range it's been stuck in. So neutral bias between 84.70 and 82.30. New Zealand here. New Zealand also in the neutral territory at the moment. It's stuck in this range. We are seeing rejection from the high here, which means we could see a price drop towards 76.30, and then we may see price turn around here. So bias is neutral, still sitting in this range. All this yen crosses are a few of these ones here, New Zealand, Aussie, Euro here, all these still kind of stuck here. So neutral bias for now for New Zealand yen as well. CAD yen here. CAD has been strong, and because of that, we have seen this big move to the upside. Now the candles are getting smaller, which means the momentum may be fading a bit. So watch out for that, but still looking bullish here. Next target is 90.10. Watch out for a pullback and then a further move to the upside. So bullish bias here for CAD yen. That's type of behavior I'm expecting. So first target 89.20 and then 90. All right, so let's move on to our commodities here. Silver's still stuck in this range. It's been stuck in this range for a while here. And this is the daily chart. But going into the weekly, we're looking at the daily here. We see prices struggling or has struggled with this. And last time it did this, price struggled with the support level and then finally broke through. So here we are seeing price struggle with the support level, but we have to see that break to the downside. Once we see a break, then we would look for a further continuation. However, for now, it is still in that neutral territory. So looking at the weekly here, we can see it is right into that support level. So we need to see a break, and then we'll look for the next level, which is 24.80. So right now bias is bearish, it shows rejection. So I would look for a continuation to the downside towards 24.80. And should it continue lower, we have more room to the downside. But it's just been overall, it's just been stuck in this big range here. But in the immediate term here, I am looking for a drop. But again, we have to see a break through the support. Otherwise, it could still go and become range bound. So bearish, neutral to bearish bias here for silver. Gold, this is again the same thing that we are seeing with silver as well. Price is stuck in this range, just like it was stuck in this range here for a long time. Right now, it doesn't have clear direction. It does have some bearishness, but again, it could do one of these, right? We could just see that turn. So for the time being, neutral to bearish bias, it is rejecting the resistance, but it has to break through the support in order to continue. So bias is neutral to bearish. Once it breaks through 1755, then next target here is 1720, and we will look for a move all the way into the bottom. But first, we have to see that break through the support. So neutral to bearish bias for gold. Oil here, oil also turned the other day on Friday. So right now we are still in this range here. It tried to go through, but we are back here again. So it's looking neutral 2 weeks in a row. Price is neutral here. So at this point, I am looking for a range bound move here between 60.50 and then 64.30. So neutral bias for oil. Copper here, copper went higher and then it's back again. So we saw that rejection from that resistance level. So looking for a bit of a drop towards 4.37 and then 4.32. So neutral bias for copper as well. Overall move is still bullish, just like it was bullish here. And it consolidated, went through, consolidated, went through. So we could see some consolidation here as well. So I'm just looking for a bit of a pullback and potential consolidation. So bias is a neutral here for copper. Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin, our current, this is not current price. Let's take a look at thanks, Salvatore. So 56.70 is the current price. So what we see here is price was able to bounce off of the support level and it is showing bullishness, but it is price is going to be or is into resistance here. So we need to see a break through the 57,000 mark and it has to hold above the 57,000 mark for a continuation. So this is where it's been struggling really. So this is what I'm looking for here. If it holds, continues to hold here, then we need to see a break and then a continuation. But will that happen? We will have to see. Right now, this is neutral. So especially that that news with the Tesla selling their Bitcoin, that has put a little bit of a damper on it. So we'll see. How things play out. For now, neutral bias for Bitcoin still doesn't have a clear direction. Let's see if it can hold its own. All right, S&P 500. So this one did go through the resistance, but hasn't held there. So we may see a drop back down here again. The earnings have been coming out positive. So that is not a concern, but we may see price go through. Right now, my bias is neutral. It still has that overall bullishness to it. But right now, momentum seems to be lacking still. So neutral bias, if it goes through if it can hold above the high at above 4,200, then we will look for a continuation towards 4,250. Right now, this is neutral. Same thing here for Nasdaq as well. Like I said, earnings have been coming out well, but it's still stuck in a range, so hasn't really done a whole lot. This is where we are in a very, very narrow and tight range. We may see a drop towards 13,700. But it is looking neutral and maybe even slightly bearish, but it doesn't have, it's not full on bearish. Like I'm not expecting this type of a drop just yet, because it's just holding for the last 2-3 weeks here. It's just been holding. So right now, looking for a bit of a drop towards 13,700. If it fails, we are back up again. So neutral bias here for NASDAQ. Dow Jones as well. This is just sitting sideways. It does have, of course, the positive, the bullish momentum to the upside, but doesn't look very strong at this point. Neutral bias here. I will look for a move towards 33,700, back towards the support, potentially even towards 33,350. But looking neutral right now. So right now, I'm not completely bearish on this, just looking for a bit of a pullback here. So neutral bias for Dow Jones. And then DAX here, DAX also struggling here, no real momentum in either direction. A bit of a drop here, so we could see a move towards 15,000, potentially towards 14,700. But as we can see, the bearish candle is not very strong either. So slightly bearish bias 15,000, and then 14,700 would be the next target here. FTSE is also stuck in a bit of a range here. I will look for a move towards 68.50. And again, looking at the weekly here, this is where it's been stuck for the last 3 weeks here. So at this point, looking for a drop and then a move back into the range. So neutral bias for FTSE as well. And Nikkei has been stuck in this narrow range here, but overall this wide range. So going into our weekly, I'm just basically looking for a move back down towards the support level here. First target is 28,530, and then potentially towards 28,240. So neutral to bearish bias here for Nikkei as well. All right, so that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I'll be back with a daily tomorrow. Bye for now.